This is the Louis T. Network.
In the lab room.
Welcome, you are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Today is Tuesday, which means there's some Monday Night Football to discuss. So we'll break down one of the Monday night matchups, talk about the other, and then we'll talk about the fallout from Sunday's slate of games. So let's look at Monday Night Football. And the first game pitted the Washington Redskins versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not going to go into a breakdown of that game. If you're looking for a thorough breakdown of that game, of course, turn to the Redskins report that will be up shortly after this episode of In the Lab Room. So if you're looking for an extensive breakdown of that Redskins and Philadelphia Eagles matchup, Redskins report is where you need to be. Now, in terms of the other matchup, and of course, if you didn't see that Redskins game before I move on to that second nightcap of that doubleheader, the Eagles ramped it up in this game and they unveiled that Chip Kelly Express offense, and that thing was moving at warp speed. It did not help that the Redskins simply could not sustain offense and kept putting their defense out on the field. But make no mistake about it, this Philadelphia Eagles offense was clicking on all cylinders. They looked really good. I don't expect them to look that good all the time, but I will say this much. When they are on, they're going to be a tough outfit to stop in 2013. But they were able to get the victory 33-27, taking their record to 1-0, and more importantly, 1-0 within the NFC East division. Meanwhile, the Redskins fall to 0-1, and more importantly, they drop to 0-1 within the NFC East. So we move on to the nightcap, and this is that 10:15 Eastern Standard Time game, that 7:15, 7:30-ish, West Coast time game, where a lot of people on the East Coast normally don't see this game from start to finish, but it was a very entertaining game, actually. It started off with a bang and it ended with a bang. And so you look at this game, San Diego Chargers hosting the Houston Texans. The Texans are a team that many have Super Bowl aspirations for, and look, the window is steadily closing in Houston. They have to find a way to get it done. And this is a big season for the Houston Texans. It's not okay to just make the postseason. It's not okay to beat the Cincinnati Bengals in the first round and then lose in the divisional round. They got to find a way to piece it together and make a run at the Super Bowl. And this is the year to do it. And no one's getting younger. People are starting to question Matt Schaub and whether he's the guy. And look, they got to get it done in 2013. And so here was the start of their journey in San Diego. And it was a rocky, bumpy ride to start out. First play of the game for the Houston Texans is a batted ball in the air, and it's picked off by a defensive lineman by the San Diego Chargers. And boom, Chargers don't waste any time. Phil Rivers goes up top on a wheel route to the running back, Matthews, out of the backfield, and just like that, Ryan Matthews catches the pass. He lays out, dives for it, catches it in the end zone. It's 7-0 Chargers, and look, it's nothing to get alarmed about. 7-0. The Texans are going to score points, right? Wrong. Before you knew it, the Texans were down in this game 28-7 on the road. We've seen the Chargers blow leads. May I remind you, last year, the Broncos went into San Diego, were trailing 24-0 before exploding in the second half for 34 unanswered points, beating the Chargers 34-24 last year. So we've seen the Chargers blow big leads at home. But this is a new season. This is a new team. This is a new coaching staff. This is a new Phillip Rivers and a new San Diego Chargers football team. Not. They blew this lead, and this takes us to our momentous moment of the game. And the momentous moment of the game was Phillip Rivers throwing an interception. Brian Cushing makes a magnificent play. He dives, lays out, catches the football, gets back up on his feet, and runs into the end zone. And this pick really changed the complexity of this game. That pick tied the football game at 28, and it sucked all of the life out of the Chargers. After that pick, the Texans get the football back, drive down the field, and get in position to kick the game-winning field goal. They send their rookie kicker, Bullock, out there to kick the football, and he gets it done. He had missed a field goal earlier in the game, and so I didn't know where his confidence was going into this final kick, but the Texas A&M rookie went out and got it done, and the Houston Texans survived 31-28 on opening weekend to cap off opening weekend of 2013 in the National Football League. And what a way to go out. I mean, Monday Night Football had a lot of fireworks with that first game, with the Eagles coming out and doing what they were able to do, Redskins making a game of it late, the Chargers jumping out to a huge lead in the second game, and the Texans coming to roar back and take the lead and ultimately win on the final play of the game. And so good football on Monday Night Football, and a heck of a way to put a period on what was a very competitive weekend of football in the National Football League. So very pleased with the football that we got on Sunday and into Monday. Fox and ESPN received record ratings for their broadcast of the National Football League, and this thing is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger every single year. And we love football. We clamor for it all year round, and when it finally shows up, we can't wait to watch. And we weren't disappointed. There were some really good games this weekend. Giants, Cowboys was good. 49ers, Packers was really good. Colts and Raiders was some good, entertaining football. There were some really good games this weekend. And so even some games that weren't all that good but had some really good finishes, Tampa Bay and the Jets. And so there were a lot of games that really piqued my interest over the weekend. But looking at this weekend of football and how it all unfolded, now let's talk about the fallout from the weekend. A lot of teams have questions now, and let's start with the Giants. David Wilson, the guy that they turned their running back position over to in this offseason, he's a fumbler. What can we say? Hard to change a Tiger's stripes. This is a guy that had trouble at Virginia Tech holding on to the football, has had trouble in the National Football League. If you remember, last opening day versus these very Cowboys, he put the ball on the ground, and that was a turning point in that football game. They end up losing that football game. So the Giants, this time around, though, they give him the benefit of the doubt. They put him back in the game and give him another opportunity to rectify the problem, and he fumbles yet again. Coughlin had seen enough. He takes him out. He does not put him back in the game. And now the Giants are reportedly looking for running back help on the free agent market. They're on the streets, and they put their ears to the streets, and the streets came back with two names, Brandon Jacobs and Willis McGahee. If I'm a betting man, if they're going to sign one of those guys, my money's on Willis McGahee. What you talk about, Willis? I think he can still help you. He's a 3-down back. He's a guy that can block in the passing game, can catch it out of the backfield if need be, and he can still run it in between the tackles. And so I think Willis McGahee is the guy that can help them if they decide to go with one of these backs. If they're looking for someone that already knows this offense and is comfortable within the scheme, then of course Brandon Jacobs would have the upper hand there. But if you're looking for someone to come in and be ultra productive, I think Willis McGahee is the man that they're looking for. Either way, this bodes and spells trouble for David Wilson. Not saying that he won't get back in the good graces of Tom Coughlin and won't ultimately end up being the starter once again, but it's going to take a long time for him to get out of that doghouse, because he can't continue to put his team in bad positions by turning over the football and putting it on the carpet. He did it twice in this game. Both of those fumbles were lost. And in a game where you lose by 5, 2 turnovers is pretty steep. And you can't turn the football over in the National Football League. Having the football is huge in this league, and it's a premium on turnovers. You got to have a premium on them. You got to limit the turnovers, and he's not taking care of the football. He's not going to play for Tom Coughlin if he cannot hold on to the football. It looks like someone needs to go to the Tiki Barber School of High and Tight. Somebody needs to give this young fella some lessons. So you look at Cleveland now, and we move on to the Browns, where they struggled in their home opener versus the Miami Dolphins, a game that was very winnable. But again, like last season in their home opener to start the season out, Brandon Weeden turned the football over. Last year, I felt like he made some boneheaded decisions with the football and just wasn't smart, didn't take care of the football, and put his team in some very, very inauspicious positions in the game. And this time around, I'm not so sure I feel like all of these interceptions were all of his fault, were all of his doing. And so I'm more inclined to feel like continue to give this guy a chance. You don't have Josh Gordon out there. He doesn't have a full deck to play with yet. Let's see how he does once Josh Gordon comes back into the fold. If he can't get it done, then maybe you need to do something else. But right now, I think it's still Brandon Weeden's job, and I think he still needs to be given the opportunity to show what he can do. And it seems like Rob Chudzinski seems to think as much as well. He's come out and gave Brandon Weeden the dreaded vote of confidence. Hey, he's our quarterback. He doesn't need to look over his shoulder right now. He's still our guy. And that's reassuring if you're Brandon Weeden, because I feel like you got to have the confidence of the coaching staff. And I feel like Norv Turner is the man when it comes to quarterbacks. And I feel like he's going to be able to use his Midas touch on Brandon Weeden. They need to have Brandon Weeden out there with his full complement of receivers. You look at Josh Gordon, Greg Little, Travis Benjamin, Devon Best, Jordan Cameron. He needs to have all of his guys out there at his disposal. And once he has that, if he can't get it done behind that offensive line with Trent Richardson in the backfield, then maybe you need to have some questions answered. But until then, till he has his full stable of running mates, I think Brandon Weeden needs to continue to be given a chance in Cleveland. And I feel like it's still early. We're talking about this man's second season, second year with a new head coach, 2 head coaches in 2 years, 2 offensive coordinators in 2 years. Give the man a break. Allow him to play football. Get off of Brandon Weeden's back. So you look at another team that's struggling right now, and that's the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I really want to focus in on the Steelers on another day when I'm just going to talk about Steelers football. And I don't know if I'm going to do that on this program or if I'm going to do it on another program or what, but they've definitely got some issues to iron out, and they dealt with a slew of injuries. You've got Larry Foote gone for the season. You've got Marquise Pouncey gone for the season. You've got running back LaRod Stevens Howland gone for the season. These are some devastating blows to this football team, especially Pouncey at the center position, their best offensive lineman, the anchor of this offensive line in the middle, the rock. He's gone for the season. That hurts. You look at LaRod Stevens Howling. He's a guy that's a change of pace back, someone that can help you out of the backfield, catching the football as well as running it. And he gave the Steelers an element of speed that they lack. They do have Felix Jones on the roster right now as well, but that's a crushing blow to this offense as well. And then you look at Larry Foote, a veteran presence along that linebacking corps, someone that you trust as a solid tackler and defender. The Steelers are really hurting right now, and hard to say if this Steelers team is going to be able to right this ship. They got a big one coming up on Monday Night Football against the Cincinnati Bengals, a team that many feel can win that division. And so the good thing for the Steelers right now is that this division is wide open. No one in this division won in week 1. Baltimore went down, Cincinnati went down, Cleveland went down, and the Pittsburgh Steelers went down. So while it seems dark and full of despair in Pittsburgh only after a week, but It's a lot of football to be played, and no one's ran in front of the pack, and they've got time to right the ship. It just seems like it feels different. But I echo the sentiments of Marshall Faulk, and I'll leave it at this because I don't want to talk about the Steelers a lot right now. I really want to focus in on them separately because I feel like there's a lot to break down with them. But I'll say this. Until they don't make the playoffs, until they are mathematically eliminated, until Mike Tomlin cannot rally his troops up enough to get them into the postseason, until you tell me that there's no way possible for the Steelers to get in, I don't believe that the Steelers are going to miss the playoffs. I just don't. So, that's a touchdown. Want to tack on this quick? Extra point. And the extra point for today is In Suh. What is up with this guy? I just don't get In Suh. He was fined by the league $100,000. They are sick and tired of this guy's antics. That's a lot of money. Now, in the grand scheme of things, for the amount of money he's being paid, it's probably peanuts. But who wants to be hit in their pockets like that? I mean, that's a lot of money. $100K for his cut block on the Vikings center on a interception by DeAndre Levy that went for a touchdown that was called back because of Suh's block. The NFL is cracking down on these type of blocks. You can injure people. And I'm a very huge proponent for staying away from guys' knees if at all possible. Look, if you got to go low and hit a guy, do what you got to do. But this was so unnecessary, much like that block in the preseason on Vikings defensive tackle Kevin Williams from a San Francisco 49ers backup. Unacceptable. Do not go to my knees if it is not necessary. And that block that In Suh did on that Vikings center, unnecessary. Absolutely unnecessary. There's no place for that in this league, and he deserved to be fined. Now, $100K, woo-wee, that's a lot of money, but for the amount of times he's had run-ins with the league, I guess that's justifiable. But In Suh has to get his act together. Not only did he get fined for this act, that act on the field cost his team 6 points because it took that touchdown off the scoreboard, and on the very next play, the Lions ended up throwing an interception. And so you can't have that happen if you're In Suh. You can't have that happen if you're the Detroit Lions. You got to be smarter than that, and there's no place for that in the National Football League. So that's going to do it for me here today in the lab room. Remember, if it happens in the NFL, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Have a good one. See you tomorrow. While you're here, go ahead and sub up.
In the lab room.